Good morning students, hope you all are doing good. So today I am going to explain you the mechanism of photosynthesis. So you all know from the equation of photosynthesis that there are two reactants, carbon dioxide and water. When they react in the presence of light energy and chlorophyll pigment, they form three products: glucose, water and oxygen. So this is a complete summary of a chemical equation of photosynthesis. You should remember this thing. Now what is the mechanism of photosynthesis and how these products be able to form or produce these gases and the raw material glucose. So photosynthesis takes place into the two main phases of you can see here. First one is light dependent phase, which is also called as photochemical phase, and the another one is light independent phase. It is also called as biosynthetic phase. Now why it is called photochemical phase? Because light energy absorbed by the chlorophyll pigment perform the photolysis of water during this phase, first phase, and due to that hydrogen ion, oxygen and electrons are released. So these electrons are very important for photophosphorylation. So this is all about the light dependent reaction. I will explain you further. So these both the reactions takes place in a series of chemical reactions, and first reaction of first phase is light dependent. So it is initiated by light is important during this phase, so that's why it is called photochemical phase. So this light reaction, you can underline this line, that the light reaction takes place in the thylakoids. Thylakoid is a I have already explained you the structure of thylakoid. Thylakoid is a part of the chloroplast. These are the flattened sac, and the pile of thylakoids are called granum. So you can also remember this, and you can also say that the light reaction takes place in the thylakoid or the granum area of chloroplast. So these thylakoids are green in color. You can see in your book in the figure 6.1 given on page number 69 that these thylakoids are green in color because they contain the chlorophyll, and the chlorophyll pigment have the ability to absorb the sunlight, light energy. So the light reaction, which is also called as photochemical, takes place into the two main steps. In the first step, the chlorophyll pigment activate by the light energy. So the chlorophyll, when it exposed to the light energy, it become activated and by absorbing more and more photons. So what is photon? So from the physics you know that photon is the smallest unit of light energy, and this light energy is important for the activation of chlorophyll. So the what is the main function of this light energy? It activates the chlorophyll pigment. Now what happened in the second step? So in the second step, photolysis take place. Photolysis. So this light energy active at first stage it is activating the chlorophyll pigment, and in the second stage it is splitting the water molecule. So the absorbed energy is used in splitting the water molecule into two components, which is hydrogen and oxygen. We all know that hydrogen and oxygen combine together in a fixed ratio and form water. So the same way, when the hydrogen due to the photolysis, this water molecule it will produce 4H positive hydrogen ion, electrons and oxygen gas. So remember always that in the reaction of the photosynthesis, this oxygen gas is released from the water molecule, water compound. Okay, so water is releasing or given out by what? Oxygen is releasing or given out by water, not from the CO2. Whereas in the dark reaction, this glucose is formed from the carbon dioxide. So photosynthesis, CO2 is reduced, and this water molecule get oxidized. So this is all about during this reaction, that carbon dioxide is reduced into glucose molecule and water gets oxidized into the oxygen. So this is the, in one reaction, they are from the lower classes you will not get to know about this mechanism, that this photosynthesis occurs into the these stages or phases. So these two are the stages of light reaction: activation of chlorophyll and splitting of water. So this reaction is known as photolysis, which means splitting by light. So light is able to split the water into hydrogen and oxygen, you can see. Now remember always that photolysis occurs in the grana, you can underline this line. Photolysis occurs in the grana of a chloroplast and is defined as, so the definition is also given here: splitting of water molecules into the hydrogen ion and oxygen gas in the presence of light. So in the definition you can write this definition from the blue box. Now what happened? So what are the end products of photolysis? So we all know in the end product of photolysis we are getting first is hydrogen ion. So the hydrogen ion are picked up by the NADP. So NADP is a coenzyme. The full form of NADP is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. So it is a coenzyme. So this coenzyme pick up the hydrogen atom and it will form nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. It will convert. So you should remember that what is the use of this. So this hydrogen ion is picked up by the coenzyme, and this coenzyme then it will convert it into NADPH by the combination of H positive ion. It has become a stable now, and this oxygen component is given out as a molecular oxygen. So molecular oxygen, single oxygen atom is unstable, so it will combine with the another oxygen atom and it will form a molecular oxygen, and it will release as a byproduct from the stomata. Now third product is the electrons. I told you the electrons. So these electrons are also used in converting ADP molecule into the energy rich ATP compound or ATP compound. So ADP full form is also given and ATP is also given. So adenosine diphosphate, when it's when electron or one phosphate added into it, ADP, it will convert ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So you, by adding the one phosphate group, it is written also. So you can see the reaction also, ADP plus one phosphate group, which is inorganic, PO4. So it will form ATP. Now this process, or you can say the process of the formation of ATP from ADP, or when the inorganic phosphate combines with ATP and form ATP, this process is called phosphorylation. So this process is called phosphorylation, addition of phosphate, and since the energy is used in this process, it comes from the photons only, light energy. So it is completely called photophosphorylation. So what is photophosphorylation? Conversion of ATP from ADP by the addition of phosphate. So you should know what is photophosphorylation. It is a process in which ATP is generated when ADP is combined with the phosphate, one phosphate. Now another reaction is also another reaction of photosynthesis is called light independent reaction. So it is light independent, it do not need sunlight for performing its product, so, or for generating its product. So that's why it is also called as dark phase. It doesn't mean that it takes place at a night. So only dark phase, we can say the light dependent one, we say the light reaction, light phase, and the light independent reaction or phase we say dark phase. And it is also called as biosynthetic phase, because in this phase only glucose is formed, which is a raw material or fuel for the plant. Now the new term light independent phase is added for the session, because people get confused that what is dark phase and what is dark phase. They understood that it is this phase is occurring in the at the night, dark night. Now but it is not true, because this phase is light independent. So that's why we write it dark. So remember this thing, in the give reasons it can come. Now the reaction in this phase do not require light, so you can underline, this is the answer why it is called the dark phase, because the reaction in this do not require light and they occur simultaneously with the light reaction, time gap between the two being less than 1,000th of a second. So both the phases, light phase and dark phase, light dependent and light independent phase, occur simultaneously, alternately. So what happened in this? So I told you, in this glucose converted into, or you can say glucose reduced into okay, by carbon dioxide. So conversion of glucose into starch and other chemicals. So we all know that most green plant, they can easily convert the glucose into the starch during the photosynthesis. So several glucose molecules are transformed or are combined and they produce one molecule of starch. This process is called polymerization. What is polymerization? When several units of glucose combine together, they form a one molecule of starch, that is called polymerization. So remember the definition of polymerization. So some plants change glucose to sucrose. So like sugar cane sugar, it is not sucrose, it is a sucrose. So it is a disaccharide, it is a double sugar. So how it is formed? So when two units of glucose combine together, it will form sucrose, or some other into oils and others. So there are different types of sucrose, lactose, starch, glucose, all are the different types of carbohydrates. Some are mono, some are di, some are poly. Now this you will learn in the higher classes, differentiated of differences of the carbohydrate. Now so one flow chart is given, you can see it is a highly specified summary of the event, you can see here. Now in this they are showing you it is divided into two parts, because in this first half part they are showing the reactions of light dependent reaction, and in the second part they are showing the light independent reaction. It is also written that it occurs in light independent reaction, this photochemical phase, it takes place in the thylakoids of chloroplast, whereas this light independent reaction takes place in the stroma. So this is also a thing to remember, that is stroma. Inside the stroma part, which is the ground substance of chloroplast, this light dependent reactions takes place. Now what happened in the light dependent? I told you, when light photolysis, so when the light fall on the, or when the beam of light absorbed by the water gets split into hydrogen ion. You can see these are the end products of photolysis: hydrogen ion, oxygen. You can see here oxygen, when single oxygen is not stable, it will combine with another atom of oxygen and it will form oxygen gas, which is liberated as a byproduct. And then electrons. Now you can see the third one is electrons. I told you this electron is very useful, because it is combining with the ATP and it is converting the ADP phosphate. When it combines, this electron combines with the ADP and phosphate, it will turn ATP. Now the same way this electron, when it are able to convert the NADP also, okay, helps in converting the NADPH also. So this electron, when it combined with along with the hydrogen, it will form NADPH, and this NADPH again further enters into the dark reaction or light independent reaction. You can see here the NADPH is entering into the light independent reaction, and ATP also enter into the light independent, then they are releasing the electron. So this ATP releasing the electron in the this light independent reaction, and this NADPH, it release the hydrogen ion. You can see this hydrogen ion when this electron when combines with the CO2, which is in the stroma, this equation takes place. So when it combines with the CO2, it will produce the glucose, C6H12O6, and this is utilized by the plant, and then they converted it into starch as a starch form. So you can see now. So in a homework you can do you can solve the these progress check activity given on the page. Now main thing is, so in a homework please solve the progress check activity. Now next topic is adaptation. 6.7, adaptation in leaf to perform photosynthesis. So leaves show some adaptation, some changes which helps in the photosynthesis process. Like if the leaf have the large surface area, if leaf has large surface area of, if the leaf is broad like people leaf, okay, or banana leaf, so they can absorb more light. So large surface area of the leaf helps to absorb more light for the photosynthesis. So it is written also, narrowing of leaves in certain plants is used to minimize transpiration in order to conserve water, as in leander and pine. So leander and pine narrow, their leaves are narrow so that they can easily, they grow on the hilly areas, so they can easily minimize the transpiration process. Transpiration process, loss of excess water or extra water from the plant body, from the aerial part of the plant body, is called transpiration. So large surface area plays a very important role for absorbing maximum light energy. Now next is leaf arrangement. So if the leaf arrangement is at proper right angle, or just parallel to the angle is at a right angle, so that light source is just parallel to it, then it will absorb the maximum light. Okay, next is cuticle and upper epidermis. So this cuticle, this is a waxy layer. This cuticle is the waxy layer present in the present on the epidermis, upper epidermis. So if these are waxy layers, so these are transparent and they are waterproof, so that it will allow light to enter from the smooth surface. Light can enter. Next is, fourth one is numerous stomata. Numerous means high number, many. So so many number of stomata is present in the leaf, because different leaf, they have different number of stomata, and stomata present on the lower portion of the leaf. I have explained you earlier in my last video. So this numerous stomata allow rapid exchange of gases. So high number of stomata means high number of or high amount of gases can exchange. Oxygen and carbon dioxide can exchange rapidly, quickly. Now fifth one is the thinness of leaf. So what is the use of this thinness of the leaf? So the leaf will be thin, then it will be able to reduce the distance between cell, and it allows rapid transport of the water, minerals, or the food, which is glucose. So the thinness of the leaves also plays a very important in the rapid transport of the food material, glucose and water and minerals. All can easily move, their distance will be less. Now the chloroplast. So the chloroplasts are concentrated in the upper layer. So chloroplasts are basically present on the upper layer. So in the upper layer, if they are present in a high number, then again they are able to absorb the more light energy quickly. Now extensive vein system. So venation wise also, you know that there are parallel venation, there are reticulate venation. So if the high number of veins are there on the leaves, then also rapid transport will take place from the mesophyll cells. Now what are the end products of photosynthesis? So I told you that there are three, you can see here also in the blue box, glucose. Remember the formula of the glucose, C6H12O6, water and oxygen. So this glucose, which is a simple sugar, and it has 4 different ways which is required by the plant. First one is immediately, because it is a fuel, energy fuel, so it can immediately consumed by the plant cell for their different processes, like metabolic processes like respiration, like growth, development, or for synthesis of proteins and other things. Now stored in the form of, and they stored in the form of starch. So remember that glucose is the soluble sugar, whereas starch is the insoluble sugar. Now then further it converted into sucrose in the flowering plant and all. It is also, this glucose is also used in synthesizes, as I told you, proteins, fats and other products, other enzymes also. Now what is the use of water? So water is produced during the process, it reutilized it. Some get transcribed also, transpire also, and other again used by the plant for photosynthesis. So it water is produced in this plant may reutilize for the continuity of the photosynthesis. So next one is oxygen. So in the oxygen, you all know that leaves have the stomata. So through the stomata only, what they do, they just exchange the oxygen liberated out or diffuse out into the atmosphere only. And this oxygen is not, it is waste for the plant, but it is not waste for us, because you know all the living organisms require it for their growth, for the respiration, and even plants require it for night, for respiration. At night they used plants, so it is very important. So other factors, what are the factors that affects the photosynthesis, this I will explain you in my next video. So go through this chapter, these phases, light dependent and light independent. Solve the progress check exercise in a homework given on the page number 70 and 72. So you can see this is the 72 page number exercises. Do it. If you find any difficulty, you can ask me also. So thank you. Have a nice day. God bless you all.